yeah, welcome guys. Thanks for joining us this evening or whatever time it is. I don't know where you guys are all calling in from. Maybe you want to pop it on the chat, say hello and where you're from. Oh, Budapest, very nice. So yeah, welcome and thank you for joining our workshop this evening. I am super excited for this workshop because I think a lot of people at the moment are struggling with things like staying productive, staying healthy and motivated, fighting burnout and all of these kinds of things, as unfortunately Corona is raging on. And I don't know about where you are, but definitely in England anyway, the weather's drawing in, the days are getting darker and much colder. And yeah, I mean, honestly, to be honest, I feel like I've basically organized this workshop for myself because I certainly need some help in this area as well. No pressure, Chevy. So yeah, basically, so the workshop's going to be led by this wonderful human being that is Chevy Rough. To do a little intro, he is a results coach and wellbeing specialist who's gone from drug addiction to being selected by the BBC to coach 10 people with mental health conditions on the award-winning documentary Mind Over Marathon, and has learned a lot about what it takes to help people and organizations get results and unlock potential. So he's helped thousands of people with their daily actions and life aspirations by making well-being simple versus individual pressures and the challenges people face in their ever busier lives that we seem to lead. So he's worked from prisons to boardrooms with industry leading companies like Spotify, TikTok, Sainsbury's, Deloitte, and is also an ambassador for the men's mental health charity Calm. So in short, we are super lucky to have him to lead our workshop today. I will just go over a couple of housekeeping things before I hand over to you. So number one, as I said, if you are able to put your cameras on, please do, so we don't feel like we're talking to a load of black boxes. But obviously, if you can't for any reason, that's fine. Feel free to keep it off. If you have any chat, comments, questions, feedback, anything like that, please feel free to pop it in the chat box at any time, or just unmute yourself and shout. That's also fine. And finally, we will have a long time for plenty of Q&A and questions in the kind of second half of the workshop. So get your questions ready and we will answer them as best we can. And I think that's it. So without further ado, over to you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated, guys. Really super lovely to be here. I've held back on holding a lot of webinars over the last couple of months just to manage my energy. So feeling super excited to get back into it and working with people in this format, in this medium. Where are we? So we've got people from Rome, Battersea, West London. Where are you? Are you guys working from home? Let me know. Are you guys at home at the moment? And also really interesting, if you're at home, what room are you in at the moment? Where are you in your house right now? I always just like to know. And there's always usually someone who's a real pain who is like saying like, yeah, I'm just sitting out on my balcony or something in like my house in Spain. But yeah, let me know where you're at. And also from a housekeeping perspective, guys, what I say, if it's okay with you guys, please do put your life on do not disturb where possible. So, you know, turn off your notifications, turn off your phone if possible. And the reason that I do this, and I suppose this is lesson number one, is there's this magical thing called residue in our minds, which is when we're focused on one task and we jump from one task to another and we try and jump back to the original task again, it takes somewhere between 18 to 23 minutes for our original focus to get back to where it was. Now think about how many times we're jumping from item to item, notification through notification every day. So I always kind of say, if you can, this is time for you. It's time to talk about your energy, your stress levels, your well-being. If you're able to put life on do not disturb, unfortunately, that doesn't tend to work with children and loved ones. But if you can do, that would be super appreciated. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to share my screen with you. So where we go, we've got dining table, in my kitchen, in my living room. Everyone's in my living room. Good. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to share this with you. I'm quite nervous today. I don't know why. I think it's because I haven't done this in a while. Nerves are creeping in. Don't know what kind of ride you're in for. Right. So we're going to do that. We're just going to do that like so. And good. Guys, can you see just that one slide? You can't see my presenter slides, can you? Can you let me know in the comments? Can you just let me know that you can see that one slide and you cannot see my presenter slide? Because sometimes I get the, yep, brilliant. Trina, I appreciate you. Lottie, I appreciate you. Katie, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Mohammed, all of you. I appreciate all of you. Right, okay, fancy slide. Let's get that out of the way. Blah, blah, blah. Ask questions as we go. Super, super important, guys. Like, I am a public speaker by craft. My job kind of went a bit sideways this year. I enjoy being in rooms with human beings. I am obviously enjoying this, but it's kind of hard. So I don't like talking to a screen. So if you do want to ask questions as we go, please, please do. And I'll try and get to them as we go along. If not, we will kind of revisit as we get to the end. But I really do like to try and make this a two-way conversation. So we are here to talk about peak performance through well-being. We've got to give these things fancy titles. So, you know, I always like to have a kind of a holding statement, right? Like a statement that I like to start with and finish with, and a statement that kind of keeps me kind of holding my north and keeps us holding our north through this kind of part of the presentation, webinar, chat, me waffling. Here we go. So what is my statement? What is my simple statement? What is peak performance to me? Well, to achieve peak performance through well-being, you must learn to listen to your body, trust what it's saying, and keep solutions simple. Okay. Now, let me just explain this a little bit more for you. You know, people always kind of like, what's the magic bullet to well-being? You know, what's the magic method out there that I can integrate into my life to help me, you know, find my purpose, live fulfilled, be a great mother, father, brother, employee, whatever it may be. And I'm like, it's a bit of a tough statement because we're all so different. But here's the thing. You don't need to be asking me that question. You actually have one of the most honest, trustworthy relationships in your life right underneath your nose. That's what we want in life, right? We want to have relationships that we can trust, that we can believe in, that is there alongside us during the hardest of times. And for me, the relationship that we can trust most is with our bodies. Our bodies are the most honest relationship we have. When we're stressed, our bodies will let us know. When we're tired, our bodies will let us know. When our energy is low, our bodies will let us know. When there is a threat to our immediate danger, our breath changes, our heart rate changes, our body will let us know. I'm not motivated going to the gym. Why do you think you're not motivated? I know you want to go, but your body is trying to tell you that it hasn't got the resources to let you go. Right? So it's really important to understand that you have all the tools and insight you need within you. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more to you today. But it's about learning to trust that relationship. And it's about keeping the solutions simple. And that's hopefully what we're going to get towards at the end of the conversation today. So question for you. If I could give you back 10% of the average energy you burn through in a day, how would you spend it this evening? Hit me in the comments. If I could give you a refund back of 10% of the average energy you burn through in a day, how would you use it in this evening? What would you do with that extra energy in your life? How would you spend it? Hit me in the comments and let me know. Applying for other jobs. Love that. Yeah, okay, but I love that. I love that. Absolutely, right? So spending it on you, your personal development, looking for a job is definitely a full-time job. Cycling, going to the gym, working out. Finish a project I've been working on for far too long. Absolutely. Personal projects, right? Never got the energy to complete these things. Update my website. Livia, I'm with you. Do you know how much energy I've spent updating my website over the last 2 months? Like, I don't even want to go near it ever again right now. It is draining. My personal development, personal projects and so forth. Absolutely right. So we understand this role of energy in our lives and the role that it plays in helping us keep fit, managing our personal projects, leading towards purpose, dealing with family, friends, responsibilities. Energy is a very real thing that we need in our lives to be able to survive and thrive. Now, when I'm talking about energy, I'm not talking about the woo-woo hippy-dippy energy. I'm talking about the fact that we consume calories and we convert that into energy, right? I'm talking about the fact that 20% of the calories that you consume go to your brain. chess masters burn up to 6,000 calories in an average chess tournament. Think about that. They just sit there like you do. I'm sure you've had people in your life who've told you that. Why are you so tired at the end of a hard day? You just sit at a desk all damn day, right? Well, actually wrong, because managing thoughts, feelings, emotions, and behaviors consumes energy. That's why we're exhausted at the end of a hard day. Right now, it's not just about me talking to you guys. Mentally, I'm navigating this whole conversation in my head. This is going to be a draining 30 minutes for me. It's consuming energy. So I just want to make that clear, because we're going to really kind of have energy kind of follow us through the rest of this conversation. So really interesting to know, really great to know. And I'm going to try and help you guys understand how you can get more energy out of your day. Very, very quickly, I don't know why Katie did a great introduction to me. And this is where I kind of jump into a quick introduction, just so you know my credentials. Look, very, very quickly. He says, I used to take a lot of drugs and drink a lot of drink. So I can't put it any clearer than that. Life was pretty tough for me, as it has been for a lot of us historically in the past, as we try and move through our shadows. I spent well over 15 years in addiction. I got to the point where I managed to navigate my way out of it about 5 years ago, and I retrained as a personal trainer, as a coach. At the time, within a year and a half, I managed to blag my way onto the BBC, and I got asked to coach 10 people with mental health conditions to the London Marathon. It was a roaring success. It really was. It was an award-winning documentary on BBC One. We did a great job. It was one of the most beautiful, amazing projects in my life. That bottom left picture is of me at the finish line, the start line. And it was like, boom, I've done it. I was at the peak of my life. Within 18 months, I had got clean of drugs and I'd got onto the BBC. Like, my mum was proud. Peak of my life, 5 days later, I ended up taking my first antidepressant pill, and I was knee deep in therapy at the peak of my life. And for me, I found myself, look, that bottom right picture looks like they've walked out of Fabric nightclub. It's honestly at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Look at their faces. Like, honestly, don't ever run a marathon. It's awful. So I did that. I found myself back at square one. I found myself looking at kind of my physiology, right? I started to want to understand, how could I be at the peak of my life and just feel like this low? Why was I tired all the time? Why was I exhausted? Why couldn't I go to the gym? Why couldn't I go for a run? Why couldn't I, deal with my personal projects and live my best life? And that was down to energy, guys. And that's kind of what I've really focused on over the last few years, is really understanding this relationship with chronic stress, which I was dealing with at the time, and how that kind of relates to me being able to achieve the results in life that I want to achieve. What do I do now? I work with organizations, and I was traveling the world, coaching people and helping them kind of achieve results in life. Essentially, people under pressure often lack the energy, time, and consistency to build healthy and productive habits. My solutions help people master their well-being, get lasting results by implementing tools and strategies around busy days, which quickly unlocks a simpler, easier, and more enjoyable life. That's who I am. That's what I do. That's what we're going to try and help you guys get from today. So methods are many, many, and principles a few. You guys are probably on here today wanting to understand methods that you can introduce into your life that are going to help you achieve all these results that you want to achieve in life, whether it's starting a business, becoming a better family member, or whatever it may be. Methods might include exercise, breathing, productivity tips, whatever it may be. I don't really want to talk about methods too much today. I want to talk about principles, because methods are just ideas. And ideas are many. And ideas work for some people, but they don't work for others. So let me explain this to you a little bit more detail. Something like breath work, right? Like, you should just go and do some breath work, close your eyes, do some meditation. That'll help you calm down. That'll help you get your focus back. If you're anything like me, when your mind is really whirring, how easy is it for you to actually close your eyes and take a breath? It's not so easy. That method doesn't work for a CEO who's just lost £1 million deal. That breath practice or that meditation practice is not going to work for a mum with screaming kids of 4. It's like, oh, just close your eyes and do some box breathing. We have to really be aware that some methods work for some people and they don't for others. But what I want to help you guys understand is the basic principles that these methods are layered on top of. So I want to ask you about stress, guys. If I said to you the word stress, hit me in the comments. What comes to mind when I say the word stress? What's ringing around your head? What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word stress? Deadlines, other people, work, procrastination. I hear that, Mohammed. Closing in. Flaminia, I hope I pronounced that right. Please, I'm probably not pronounced it right. Let me know. Too many things doing, not enough time, work, uncertainty, other people's expectations. Okay, so principle number one is we have to really understand the role of stress in our lives. And look, from the look of things, right? Stress is very much perceived as a negative thing in our life. If we want to achieve better well-being, if we want to achieve better performance in life, we have to rethink our relationship with stress in our life. And we have to start separating stress from the stresses in our life versus our stress response in life. Let me repeat that. We have to separate the stresses, the triggers, the stimulants in our life versus our own stress response. We have to separate the two. Because once we separate the two, we can start looking at the things we can control and that we can't control. Because most of the time with stress, right, it just feels like life is out of control. And we just want a little bit more control back in our life. And the first thing that we have to understand about the stresses in our life, the things that are causing us stress, is they generally can't be avoided. Stress can't be avoided. And to be honest with you guys, we don't really want to avoid stress. Stress is a fundamental part of life. We need stress to adapt and grow. How do you think we've made it here as the human species? And let's look at this on a personal level. The reason I like to think I'm a good husband than I was a boyfriend many years ago is because of the stress of the relationships that I have been through historically. The reason I am better at developing my website now is because of the stress of the hours and hours and versions of that website that I have had to put so much effort and time into. The stress of the technology going wrong, the stress of having to pick a platform, the stress of having to understand copywriting, the stress of understanding my marketing life cycle. You know, the fact of the matter is, if I want a coffee and I'm going to go get a coffee and I'm going to enjoy having coffee in my life, sometimes there might be a trainee barrister and sometimes I might have to deal with the stress of being 5 minutes late for my meeting because that barista is learning to do their job. Sometimes the Northern Line is going to get delayed. It's just life. We can't avoid stress. And the way that we get, you guys talk about the gym, right? You talk about running, you talk about strength exercise. You do realize that running and strength exercises and, you know, push-ups and squats, that's just stress. You are stressing your system so it can grow back stronger. And if I ask you to look at anything that you've done in your life where that was a real challenge for you and it was a real stress, I'm pretty sure you could sit there and say, do you know what? I did learn a lot about myself. We need stress. Stress is fundamental for adaptation. Stress is our body's way of giving us energy and focus. Who here, when they're stressed, give me a thumbs up when they're stressed or they feel something triggering them, that they feel their heart rate go, they feel their respiratory rate change. Who feels that? Who can feel that physiological response? Got hand up. I think I keep looking at I appreciate the hands up, right? But you don't, right? But what you got to realize, guys, is amazing. Amazing. My body right now is going up into a high gear because it's trying to give me the energy and focus to deal with the problem in front of me. The reason our respiratory rate changes, the reason our heart pumps fast is because it's trying to get energy to our system. It's trying to get blood to our brain so we can nail that challenge in front of us. We need to embrace that. Now, I understand I've had a lot of anxiety in the past and there's a whole big conversation around this, but what we have to really understand is when your body is kicking into a higher gear, that's your body's way of trying to help you tackle the problem in front of you. The reason adrenaline and cortisol get released is because it's trying to prime your senses and focus you in on the problem at hand so you can deal with that problem. How many times have you had a strict deadline to hit and you have been really focused on that deadline and nothing in the world has mattered and you've found the energy to hit that deadline and nail it? How many times has that happened? That is stress. That is your body's stress response. And hey guys, here's a funny thing. How many of you guys have ever been really stressed and wanted a cuddle from your mum or a cuddle from your dad or a cuddle from a friend? Hit me in the comments. I want to know, right? How many times have you been stressed and thought, I could really need to go speak to my best mate? I really need a cuddle from my mum. I really need to go and see my dad. I need to go and see my sister. Okay, cool. You know, alongside adrenaline and cortisol, your body also releases oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hug hormone. It's a hormone designed to bring us closer to other human beings. That psychological thought is not some kind of weakness that you need other people, like, why can't I just do this? That thought of needing to be closer to your tribe is your physiology setting up your psychology. How amazing is that? Your body is telling you that you will be better equipped to deal with this stress if you go find your tribe. I love stress. Stress is great. Stress is amazing, but stress in dosage is healthy. Stress in no dosage or low in high dosage, too much dosage is chronic stress. And this is what we need to learn into life, is how to kind of dance between being in a state of stress and then moving away from that. And we're going to talk about that as we move forward. And we've also got to start to think about the role of struggle and frustration. You know, we need to feel frustrated. We need struggle. We need effort in our life before we learn a new skill. A kid riding a bike, right? What's one word you would use to describe them? Frustrated. Frustration is the primer to growth. When I am frustrated with a project, I know that on the other side of that frustration is the development of a new skill. I know that when I'm frustrated with my website, it means I'm inches away, days away from it clicking. So it's just really important to understand this language that you use with yourselves. And we're going to talk about, oh, there we go. My computer's just going crazy. There we go. So stresses versus stress response. Stresses cannot be avoided. Stress is fundamental for adaptation. Stress is our body's way of giving us energy and focus. Stress and dosage is healthy. Struggle and frustration are primers for growth and learning. Right now, Usain Bolt is on that line. He is not calm. He needs stress to achieve his best performance. Look, mouth open, breathing heavy. His body is in a high gear right now. He needs stress. But what he needs on the other side of that is an understanding of rest. Because if stress is the investment, rest is the return on investment. If you're frustrated by trying to learn something, guys, if you're really struggling with something, if in the gym you're finding it hard and your body's tired, you don't get stronger in that moment. You don't get wiser in the moment of when you're feeling frustrated. You don't learn the skill really in that moment. It's when you push your body into a more rested state that your body starts to adapt, learn, and grow stronger. That's why sleep is so important, because it helps us process the day so we wake up stronger and wiser tomorrow. It's where we assimilate learnings. It's where we grow. We don't get stronger in the gym. We get stronger the night after and in the following rest days that we know we should be taking. Also, with rest comes access to our higher mind. Okay? And what I mean by that, guys, is you've got to think about your brain stem, right? Can you guys see the little box? You can see me right now, right? A little box. So you've got to think about your brain stem. And within your brain stem, you've got the limbic brain. So that's the mouse brain. And then you've got the kind of lizard brain. And that all sits here. Basically, that's responsible for like your kind of immediate reward, avoiding pain. And it's also responsible for your kind of fight, flight, and freeze response and so forth. Your survival instincts sit here. And then what happens is, over the top of that is the monkey mind, is the prefrontal cortex, the higher mind. The higher mind is responsible for strategic thinking, creativity, good decision-making, empathy. Basically, as human beings, where we want to spend most of our life is kind of accessing that higher mind, as opposed to letting the lizard and the mouse run the show. Now, what happens, guys, is the more stress that we have in our life that rises up through the system, the more we start to flip our lid. Does that make sense, guys? Right? We start to actually lose access to the higher mind, and then these automatic behaviors, feelings, thoughts, and emotions starts to take over. That's when we start to operate from kind of those more automatic behaviors, negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. What we want to do in life is ensure that we can keep access to the higher mind so we can keep the rest of the brain under control. When we're stressed, that starts to happen. When we're in a state of rest, this starts to happen. And that's the dance between kind of stress and rest. When we are in a more rested state, we have access to more strategic thinking, optimal decision-making. We basically just make better decisions, and we're just kinder human beings. Okay? So I'm going to talk about how to manage that relationship as we quickly kind of run through. So that's Dudley, my dog. We're just talking about him. Don't R him. He's an absolute terror. He's the biggest stress in my life. If stress is the investment, rest is the return on investment. Rest is where we assimilate learnings from struggle and frustration. With relief comes creativity, strategic thinking, and optimal decision-making. Rest is not just for rest day. Relief should occur throughout the day. So when we start to understand this relationship between rest and stress, when we start to understand that, okay, now I'm going to go into a high gear, I'm going to work on this project for the next hour, but then what's going to happen is I'm going to step away from the project for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk around the block. I'm going to do maybe 2 minutes of breath work. I'm going to go talk to a loved one that's close to me about something fun and exciting and move into a more rested state. And then I'm going to move back into a stress state or a high energy state for the next bit of the project and so forth, right? It's this dance between the two that we need to understand. And when we start to understand that dance between the two, we start to manage our energy levels more effectively, guys. The problem is we wake up in the morning, we go into first gear, and we stay in first gear. And we don't stop until we pass out, get less hours sleep than we need, and then crack on back through the next day. If you want to keep accessing the higher mind, if you want to keep accessing the resources that you need to make the right kind of decisions moving forward for your life, family, business, and so forth, we need to get better at managing this relationship between shifting gears. And then when you do that, like I said, you start to manage your energy. And when you start to manage your energy, you start to have better access to control over habit formation and behavior. And Maslow, and I'm not necessarily the greatest fan of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just before anyone wants to start debating about it, who's a geek and falls into this stuff big time, I will happily debate Maslow. But it's just I like this picture because it helps demonstrate this kind of basic need to manage our physiological state. So then we can start accessing that higher mind more to achieve what we need to achieve in life. So Maslow says that you just kind of start off with your basic physiological needs, then you start with your safety needs, and then you move up through the pyramid. So what I'm saying there is by servicing your basic physiological energy needs, you then get access to the resources that you need to achieve what you want to do in life. So again, I've only got half an hour with you guys to do. We're going to make another 5 minutes, and then we'll move into questions. It's kind of a short presentation. I usually do this a lot longer. So how do we manage that relationship between stress and rest, right? Like, how do we practically do that? Because time is not the metric to success. Energy and focus is. My simple advice to you is firstly, break your day into blocks of focus, flow state, whatever we want to call it. So anything that demands energy from you, break that into 20 to 90-minute blocks. 20-minute blocks are for things that are really, if you're trying to learn something like a piano or a language or something that's really tricky, like programming skills, and it's new to you, and it's really taking a lot of effort mentally, it's actually better to break that learning down into smaller kind of 15, 20-minute chunks. If you're writing stuff that's more automatic, if you're still doing project work, but you need to be focused on it, or you're doing presentations like I'm doing right now, or whatever it may be, stuff that you still need focus, but it's not as, it's kind of still, you're not learning to do something new. You just need to be focused on stuff that you need to get done. Then you can go up to about 90 minutes. Once you start to go beyond 90 minutes, you start to see diminishing returns. Okay. So my advice is break your day up into these 20 to 90-minute blocks, depending on the task that you're doing. Now, this is the key thing. I'm spending energy on that task. I'm working my way through. I'm writing the proposal. I'm working on my website. So what do I do afterwards? You don't pick up your phone and go to social media and scroll, because your body is still doing complex things. It's being triggered, right? We're obsessed about accessing more of the brain. Like we all want to access more of the 10% more of the brain, right? Like people keep saying that. It's not about accessing more of the brain. It's about keeping as much of your brain unstimulated as possible for as long as possible during your day. Residue. So for me, it's like, well, okay, if I'm going to break my work into these kind of chunks, then what I'm going to do is I'm then going to break for 5 to 15 minutes. I'm going to read a nice, easy book that isn't going to get me thinking too much. I might go for a walk around the block for 5-10 minutes. I might do some breath work or whatever it may be. And then I'm going to jump straight back in again. I'm not going to check my emails until 5 o'clock every day, because that's just what I do. I'm not saying that works for you, but that works for me, because I'm trying to keep my brain unstimulated. Every 3 hours, take a longer break of 30 to 45 minutes. We need to think about life as a cadence. You need to take these longer breaks. Someone got their microphone on. Has someone got their microphone on? Would they mind checking? There we go. So every 3 hours or so, take a longer break for 30 to 45 minutes. Guys, again, time is not the metric to success. You might have a never-ending to-do list. I get it. You feel guilty about taking time away from you. But this is about getting you to access that extra 10% of energy that you want to have to spend on you in the evening, right? You've got to learn to step away. That is going to make you a better operator in life. And I cannot stress that enough. Opportunities during the day to kind of manage this relationship is, yes, energy is everything. Here you go. Appreciate you. How you start your day and how you finish your day is king. It really is. People get out of bed, they check their emails before they've even gotten out of bed. They check their notifications. They're just stimulating. We need to protect your brain and keep it as unstimulated possible. And we need to help it ease itself into a day. So creating yourself something like a morning routine, like even if you work from home, go on a commute. I commute to my office here in my house every day. I get up, I read, I might do my breath work. I have whatever drink I have in the morning. And then I go for a walk for half an hour and I come back to my office. And I bring that commute in, and it helps set my energy up for the day. And there's a lot of physiological benefits underneath the hood. And I'm going to talk about that in 2 seconds. We're going to get to questions. Sorry, I know I'm overrunning here, but we're going to get to it. I just want to finish this. So also lunchtime. If you're not taking lunches, you're just, honestly, time, 145 minutes of walking in a week has similar mental health benefits as antidepressants for some people. You can use your lunch break as your exercise. Go for a walk without your phone, without your emails. Spend time by yourself. It helps you manage your energy. And then bring a commute in. Work to home. Very, very important. It helps you separate and switch off from work and then arrive at home, present and ready to spend the evening on yourself and loved ones. So, so important. And definitely in the world that we live is our body is always looking for cues to tell us in our environment how to behave. If you set the cue up of going for a walk before you kind of set up the evening, your brain will start to understand that it's time to slow down and switch off. I could go into this for hours, but it's just really, really important. Do your higher priority work in the morning. Eat the frog. Whatever's hard for you guys, whatever you don't want to do, you do it in the morning, because that is when your energy and your focus is at its strongest. The first 4 hours of your day are genuinely usually the most powerful 4 hours for most people. Okay. So just think about the high priority work in the morning, the high priority stuff in the morning. Unfortunately, we've kind of run over, so I won't go to this. I'm going to answer questions for you guys. I hope that's given you guys some stuff to think about. Again, to achieve peak performance through well-being, you've got to learn to listen to your body, trust what it is saying, and keep the solution simple. How do I know I need to take a break? your body is telling you that you probably need to go for a stretch. You probably need to get to the gym. You probably need to go for a walk. You probably need to step away from 5 minutes. Your intuition and your instincts are constantly telling you what you need, right? So it's time to just listen to that. And then actually, if your body is telling you to step away, if you're feeling tired and exhausted, get a better night's sleep. Go for a walk at lunchtime. Step away from work a little bit earlier and spend a nice evening kind of getting your downtime in. Like, it's really embodied just to keep listening to your body and keep the solution simple. Nice, easy movement, good, healthy food. You can still have snacks. You can still have treats. And just like good movement in your life. Guys, what questions have you got for me? You want to see the quick ideas? All right. I'm going to go to the quick idea. It's because I don't, oh, hold on. Okay. Oh, hold on. Play. All right. So let's do it, right? Let me run through these with you. Be okay with not being okay. Straight up, like, and this isn't me being a cheesy coach here, right? Like, you are never going to get to a point in life where you are perfectly happy all the time. It doesn't exist. And if you are trying to achieve a better you are going to invest a lot of energy into doing that. And you are going to have to learn a lot about yourself on the way. And you are going to crash. There are going to be days that go wrong. There are going to be lots of them. I live and breathe this, and I do this for a living. I took June off because I burnt out. But I live and breathe this. I should know. No, I'm human. I'm still learning about myself. And in June, I was just be okay with it. I accept it. The days when I feel low, I accept it. I accept that I might not be getting the outcomes I want, but as long as I'm putting the effort in, I'm proud of me. You have to learn to be okay with not being okay, because you are going to have a lot of not okay days in life. No screen light before sunlight. Let me tell you, your visual system, guys, is dialed in to the world around you and is constantly telling your nervous system whether you need to be in a state of fight or flight or whether you need to be in a rested state. It's communicating with your body. Your visual system is king. The natural light of the day helps set your body's cadence up. It helps your body manage stress. Screen light before you've got natural light doesn't do you good. So for me, I don't check any screen light until I've had 15 minutes of sunlight. Where do I get that? My morning commute. Okay. And it just helps the brain slowly wake up without me checking my phone and so forth. Okay. Create feedback loops in your life. If you are trying to develop yourself, if you're trying to grow as a human being, if you're trying to figure out the perfect morning routine, there isn't one, by the way. I can get into a whole debate about this. If you're trying to learn how to fit exercise into your life, if you're trying to figure out how to develop websites better, if you're just trying to better yourself in any way, you cannot give yourself constructive feedback in your head. Because our psychology does nothing but try and trip us up. We are our own worst critics. If you try and rate your performance in your head, you'll hold this, overly optimistic, like there's just so much that goes on from a psychological point of view. So you need to create kind of feedback loops in your life where you can be objective about your performance. So what does that look like? Well, at 6 o'clock every day, I do a daily review. On that daily review, I have a template. On that template, I look at my wins and celebrations, my lows and challenges. I look at my mental bottlenecks, things that I'm trying to ignore, but I know I need to deal with. I'm looking at what I accomplished in my day. I'm looking at my disappointments in my day. I'm looking at what I need to do better tomorrow. I'm looking at what I'm grateful for. This takes me 5 minutes. But by me going through it objectively and thinking about my performance, I'm able to ask new questions of myself and think about how I can change my day tomorrow. And then what I do within that feedback loop is every week I look at every day. And every month I look at every month, look at every week. And I keep assessing my performance daily and being objective, because in my head, I'm not objective. How many times have you tried to talk through a problem with a friend and you've given them advice on their own life and they turn around and go, you should really listen to your own advice? Come on. It's because you got out of yourself and you had a conversation. So by creating a diary in your day, a journal in your day, feedback loops in your day, this is what I, as a coach, all I am is a feedback loop. That's what I do to people. I'm their feedback loops. Spend time by yourself, solitude. The brain's default mode is social cognition. Our brain needs time to think and process the day, but we're constantly stimulating the brain. We go to the toilet, we sit on Facebook. We get on the train or we commute and we have headphones in. And then we try and meditate and we wonder why we can't. And I'm like, yeah, of course you can't, because your brain is suddenly throwing you all the information it needs to process because you never give it time to process anything. You think you're broken. I'm like, you're not broken. Your brain's just trying to do what it's designed to do. You've got to learn to spend time with your own thoughts. I'm sorry. It's just, you have to. And I get it, A-types out there. I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You've just got to practice at it. And you've got to stop beating yourself up. Whole other thing. Stay grounded in the known. All right, this is literally going to take 1 minute and then we're on questions. So you guys, I'm sure in life, you are trying to develop yourselves and you're trying to move into new territory. You're trying to move into the unknown, right? So let's imagine the unknown is on the other side of the door. And on the other side of that door is a very dark room. And that dark room is unknown emotions, feeling of fear, self-doubt, like, I'm just scared. I don't know what's going to happen by me committing and going through this door. But you know what? Growth occurs outside our comfort zone. So you got to go through that door because that's where change is going to happen. But here's the thing. Put one foot in the door and keep one foot grounded in things that you know that help you manage stress, manage your health, manage your well-being. Whenever I am exploring a new dark room, whenever I'm moving into the unknown, I make sure I talk to my wife. I make sure I do my breath work. I make sure I eat right. I try and make sure I'm in bed by a certain time. I make sure I go for my morning commutes, my walks. I keep myself grounded in the things that I know are going to help me explore the unknown. And that to me is what balance is. One foot in the unknown, one foot in the known. Thank you. I hope that I got over, like, we started like 5 minutes late. I went 10 minutes over. I try and put too much in because this is important stuff. What questions have we got, guys? Anything, like, throw it at me. Appreciate you, Haig. Thank you. I have a question. How fast can we change the state we are in? Yes, my favorite question. Instantly. Like if I literally, so you've got to think about this now, right? I am talking through my mouth. I haven't done this presentation in a long time. I've overrun. I'm sitting here worried whether I've done a good job. Like, have I helped anyone? I didn't really piece together some of the earlier slides as much as I would like to have. Like, there's so much self-doubt going on in my head right now while I'm trying to deliver the rest of this. My state is in a state of stress. And plus I'm talking through my mouth. I'm in a more anaerobic state. I'm not aerobic. I'm more fight, flight, or freeze than I am rested. I'm in a high state right now. Close my mouth. Three to four breaths. The dial will start to dip the other way. Just by me naturally bringing my energy down, by me closing my mouth, by me slowly exhaling through my nose, I will start to move towards a more rested state. And to give you a real world example as well. So when I used to run it, my athletes who are running, I used to get them to do intervals. They would do intervals. They'd do like 200 meters. They would come back and then they would be like, high, their body would be in a high stressed out state. And what I would get them to do is literally, and you'd get them to come through the gears, come down through the gears. I would also get them looking out at the horizon and looking at the sky, because when we're using our panoramic vision, when we're using the edges of our eyes, we're telling our nervous system to change state and start moving into a more rested state. And they'd be able to go from a high state, 200-meter intervals within a space of about, you'd see their heart rates drop within the space of about 45 to 60 seconds. And here's the thing, I used to teach that to people who suffered heavily from panic attacks. And I used to get them into the gym and get them to run really hard. And I would teach them that process of just bringing their system down. And then whenever they felt their breathing rate, because when people have panic attacks, their breath changes first before they feel a fear and emotion. So then what they would do is they think, actually, well, hold on a sec, before letting myself get triggered and fall down this emotional rabbit hole, why don't I just bring my system down? And I've practiced this on the track with Chev, and let me see how I respond to the problem. So you can learn how to do it very quickly, and then you can start aligning that to real world stressful situations in real time. A good way of practicing it, just go upstairs, get breathless, bring your system down, and do it again. Hope that helps. So going back to stress, procrastination is a false friend when dealing with stress. It gives you the illusion to control it until the situation gets more and more stressful. Any tips to fight against the Costanza? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. Procrastination for from dealing with stress. Good, amazing. This is the pressure. It gets more and more stressful. So first of all, like, procrastination is a wonderful thing. Like, there is a lot of really great research about the power of procrastination. Sometimes I will leave very, very important presentation like notes or write-ups right up until the last minute. And the reason that I do that is because I know in my subconscious, my brain is figuring out everything that I need to figure out. And there might be some walks where I start thinking and asking myself questions that occur like a few days out, a week out, 2 weeks out, but I'm just trusting that my brain is thinking about it in the background. So sometimes I know that procrastination is going to lead to my best results. So, you know, for me, the quickest advice that I can give you is welcome procrastination. You know, and maybe work with that. Maybe you work better to tighter deadlines. But then I know that if I've got a tight deadline and I'm procrastinating on it and I'm sitting on it, I know that if I've got to do a webinar on Wednesday, I know that I leave Tuesday completely free to do what I need to do to prepare for it. You know, it's kind of, I give myself some hard deadlines to hit, but I'm okay with not being okay. I'm okay with procrastinating. I trust that as part of the process. And again, create feedback in your life. If you feel like you're procrastinating, go and talk to someone about it. Get out of your head. Write your thoughts about what's going on. Think about what you know. Think about how you could change things, and then go and talk to someone about it. Because by getting out of your head, you'll usually work through that procrastination, or potentially will. I hope that helps. Quick nugget-size answers. I'll do my best. What other questions we got, guys? Anything? No questions too silly. Throw them out.
I'm gonna unmute myself,
please.
But I'm not a creep. I don't have my video on because I'm driving. So I just wanted to give you a shout out because honestly, I feel like it really did impact me, this webinar. So thank you so much for creating space and being so vulnerable. I feel like talking about what's going through your head throughout the webinar create space for people to connect and feel this sense of belonging. So I really, really wanted to give you a shout out on that. And I'd love to know ways that we can stay connected with you, or you talked about templates on ways that you're able to provide that feedback loop. So I'd love to know if you have any resources on those templates or things that you're able to share.
So Betty, thank you very much. Super appreciated. I always lead, and guys, this is really, the reason I lead with honesty and truth. And I kind of share this because my job is to try and create safe containers with people. Shout out to Brené Brown. I stole that from her. My job is to create safe containers, right? Containers where people feel comfortable to share and talk about the challenges they're facing as human beings. One of the greatest ways that we can create safe containers is leading with vulnerability. But leading with vulnerability with guardrails on, not me sitting here crying my eyes out, like freaking out. You need to know that I'm a little bit in control here. And that's kind of why vulnerability is real. And I just want to also show that I'm human. Like I live and breathe this, but I still find this all hard. But I like to share that because I think at the moment in life, we're all having to have tough conversations. Life is really hard. So if you do have to have any tough conversations with people, like think about how you can create a safe container. Don't be afraid of leading with vulnerability, because vulnerability will be the thing that gets the other person to reach out towards you. It's my favorite subject. So thank you. And yes, you can chevyrough.com. is the best place to keep up for me. I haven't got any. I will be having templates to send out to people, and I'll be doing workshops on creating feedback loops in your life over the next couple of months, definitely leaning towards Christmas and the new year, because I think next year is going to be the year where people are really focusing on purpose in life. I think we've all this year gone like, what the hell am I doing? How the hell do I get results? How do I get to where I want to be in my life? I want to be living my purpose. I think that's going to be the trend of next year for a lot of people, is really understanding what purpose looks like. And I'm going to be doing a lot of work around that in December, January. So keep an eye out on it. But chevyrough.com, sign up to the newsletter, and you'll constantly get thoughts, feedbacks. And if you have questions, you can hit me directly via email, and I'll always come back to people, and I'll always send you stuff that I have. So yeah, other questions, guys? We've got a few minutes, 8 minutes left. So what are the questions? Burning questions. What is your advice for people who are in leadership roles and have others to look after and inspire? Why they themselves struggle? You've answered it. is being vulnerable. You know, when I'm coaching leadership teams, I'm like, you know, walk into that room and let them know that you are, you know, struggling with the level of work at the moment. You're struggling with the level of projects at the moment. You know, you are having to make sacrifices about the stuff that you're doing in life. Like, you know, go in and tell people how you feel, but tell them with guardrails on. You know, I've sat there with teams, leadership teams historically, and I've sat there with guys and they've gone in there and go, oh, it's all gone. We're all going to fucking fail. Like the markets are going to go to crap. Like we'll probably, you know, have to sell the business is going to go under in the next 6 months. Like they just walk in shouting and screaming all their internal fears and narratives. And then people are just sitting there like, oh my God, like if he's scared or she's scared, I'm scared, you know? So there's a way of doing it. And I always think, like I said, guardrails. You know, so I think set up guardrails, lead with vulnerability. And also, I think for me, it's setting up an environment where you can move from a safe container to an environment where you can rumble. You know, and that's what I say, like safe container, it's not about making people feel like everyone's all touchy-feely like this, that, and the other. Like, no, I need to create safe environments with my one-to-one coachees to the point where I can give them shit between the eyes. I need to give them direct feedback. I need to be able to say what I'm thinking constructively. And I need them to be able to hear that feedback without them getting super triggered, hating me, or just wanting to never work with me again. But that takes time. And the way that I set up those environments with people is I tell them how I'm going to communicate with them. I'm very clear on how they feel about feedback in their life. I'm very clear about my openness and my directness and why I need to achieve that with them. And I set them up for it. I almost set rules of engagement to the environments that I create with people so they're more comfortable within those spaces. I hope there's a couple of things. I hope that helps. There's a load of stuff on it we could go into. Guys, probably got time for one more question. Anything, fire it at me. What you got for me at 5 to 6 in the evening? As I'm flipping my lid.
I have a question.
Go.
Again, yeah, firstly, thank you so much for joining us today. I think this has been amazing. I wish we could carry on for like another hour. Oh no, someone else has just asked another question. How do you practically create your feedback loops?
So I use Notion. So I don't say sorry, Olivia. You're all good. So I look the simple. So I create a whole life I create for me and my clients. I create life operating systems, and I use a platform called Notion to do that. And it basically just brings their life all into one place. It's a fantastic tool and resource. But a practical way that you can do it is literally create a template for a day. And on that template, measure the things that you want to measure. So maybe you want to measure what was my energy out of 10? What was my effectiveness out of 10? What was my mood out of 10? What exercise did I do today? Did I, and so forth. And then ask yourself some questions like, what are my wins and celebrations of the day? What are my losses and challenges of the day? What am I grateful for the day? What could I change today to improve tomorrow? You know, like ask yourself some kind of key, like 9 or 10, a handful of questions basically, and then fill that form in digitally for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then on Sunday, have another template for the week with the same questions on, right? So it's kind of like, what were the wins and celebrations of the week? What were the losses and challenges of the lows and challenges of the week? And you can review each day and you can summarize on that one sheet for the week. And then you do that every week. And at the end of the month, you've got, you know, if it's a 4-week month, you've got 4 sheets of paper, 4 load of answers there, and then you do one for the month. Does that make sense, guys? And then you do one for, you know, every month, and then you do it for the quarter. And where you should get to at the end of 12 months, I hope this makes sense. Where you get to the end of 12 months is you just have 4, you know, quarter reports that you look at, and they're all summaries of each day. You know, and it really, it's honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools. Like I kind of, whenever I tell people stuff, they already know most of the stuff I'm telling them. They know they need to eat a little healthier. They know they need to kind of probably move a little bit more. They know they probably need to take a little bit more breaks. They know they probably need to be a little bit kinder to themselves. Like, you know it all. So by being objective and right, exactly, it is easier to know and harder to do. And it's harder to do in your head, right? It's easier to do on paper, because you can be objective and it almost takes some of the emotions out of it. And here's the thing, guys, this is the final thing. Your brain needs to close loops. Like your brain, the reason we struggle to switch off is because your short-term memory likes to hold on to everything because it doesn't trust you, right? Because that might be something important to your survival. So it retains all this information. And that's why we have all these things pinging around our head, because our brain doesn't trust us to let go of that data. So as soon as you've given that information a home, as soon as you've put that information that's whirring around your head into your to-do lists and your calendars or your feedback journals, your brain trusts you enough to let those things and those thoughts go. And this is how you find people then kind of, you know, they're able to switch off, get better night's sleep. They're not spending so much energy managing their thoughts, because remember, you ignoring thoughts, you having the willpower and self-control to ignore thoughts costs calories. That's really important for you to understand. You simply ignoring thoughts costs you energy. So if you can do something with those thoughts, if you can get them out of your head, if you can get them into a system, boom, your brain will let go and it can focus on the next problem, the next challenge, or the next thing that's going to get you to where you want to go in life. Pow. Hope that answers.
Amazing. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, just to add to that as well, actually, it's funny you say that. Like, I have something I've started doing recently is like journaling in the morning, just to like get all my thoughts down on paper, which is kind of another form of sort of feedback loop, I guess. And it's that kind of like, it's such a cathartic process of just like getting all of that like thoughts and feelings that are in your head, just putting them down on paper, and then it gives you that self-awareness of like, oh, I was feeling shit on this day, and also I did this and that happened, and blah, blah, blah. And you can almost start to like join the dots and understand and get that like self-awareness of like what triggers certain things and how you react to them. And yeah, it's amazing.
And that's the game, right? That's being okay with not being okay. That's like, even on my shitty days, like being able to sit there and review myself, you know, and I don't do it. Some days I miss out. I don't want to sit there, but I know to come back to that in my life. But it's being okay with whatever crops up. Like, I'm feeling this way. Cool. Why? Let me look back at the last week. Let me look back at the last month. Let me look. I've been tracking my sleep. I've been tracking my whatever. Like, let me assess what's going on. Let me figure out how I've got here. Because the reason I feel tired, the reason I feel anxious, the reason I feel lonely, the reason I feel depressed, the reason I'm feeling negative emotions, the reason my body wants to feel like it's burning out, there's a reason. There is a reason that is there. And it's not that you're broken. It's just something needs to change. And through creating the feedback loops in your life, you'll get closer to understanding all these small things in a day that are going to help you. Love it.
100%. Well, I think it is 6:01, so we are going to have to wrap up. But Chevy, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us an amazing workshop. There were literally so many things you were saying. I literally wanted to be like, yes, preach. But I thought I'd leave you to it. But yeah, that was amazing. So thank you so much for your time and energy. Just to kind of wrap up, I suppose, obviously, yeah, I don't know if you've kind of already done it, but tell everyone kind of how they can find out more about you. And
guys,
you've got your website on the screen. Connect with you on LinkedIn.
Oh God, I've had that up all the time, haven't I? www.chevyrough.com. I've recently launched my newsletter after 5 years of telling myself I would do it. So I have a weekly newsletter goes out full of crap. And I've also launched a weekly blog. Like I tell you. So chevyrough.com, sign up to the newsletter. That will have everything about my life in it. And you can catch me at the Wellbeing CEO on all social platforms. But guys, like seriously, I mean this, chevy@chasingprojects.com. You can get my email through my website. Like if you have questions, you can email me, and I have a great way of recording a quick video that I can just send back to your inbox with an answer. And it's free because I like helping people and it's no problem. So if you have questions and you want some quick answers, email me. I'm here to help. If I've been able to ignite something within you, it's my job as a human being to see that through with you to the best of my capabilities. So please do reach out.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And quickly as well, if anyone wants to connect with me, I've just popped my LinkedIn there. Feel free to send me an invite request. At Uprise Academy, we've also, as of this week, it's very exciting, we've just launched our first kind of official community called The Collective, and it's all about things like personal growth and entrepreneurship and all these kinds of things. So if you want to join or find out more about that, then head over to our website. I'll just put it in the chat. Yeah, where we talk about all of this kind of good stuff as well. But yeah, I think that is it. I hope everyone has a really lovely evening, rest of the day. Get some good rest.
Don't check your emails now. Don't check social. Go for a walk. Step away from the screens. Go over a 10-minute walk. Relax. I'll see you later, guys. Take care.
Love it. Amazing. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.